Hello and welcome back to the Apex Online Racing Hype Energy F1 League on the Xbox platform. We're at the legendary Spa for the 13th round of this 18th season and the Belgian Grand Prix. My name is Justin, and joining me, as usual, it's Andy.
The all-time classics on the Formula One calendar. Good to come back to this one, Justin, with its legendary Eau Rouge corner and some real challenges out there on the racetrack. The likes of Blanchimont and that high-speed left-hander of Pouhon. It really is going to be a real challenge for the drivers, and you never know what the weather can throw up as well. So far, though, it's a lovely day for qualifying, and the drivers are heading out on the racetrack on those soft compound tyres. What are we going to see today? Well, Justin, it always is an exciting race in Belgium, and I'm pretty sure today will be no different. Surprise comes into this one off the back of 2 wins, 43 points now, his gap over Leopard in the championship. You have to feel, Justin, it's going to get to the point rather soon where Leopard needs to start clawing that in.
Yeah, at the moment it is pretty scary. It's been a lot of race victories. Only 1 race win for Leopard, actually. The only thing that's really keeping him in the title hopes is the fact that he's just so incredibly consistent. He's only finished off the podium twice, and that was with an 8th in Austria and a 7th in the UK. And then Surprise has finished off the podium 4 times with a 9th in Baku, 4th in Canada, 4th in France, and a 9th at Silverstone as well. So that's interesting. Both of them not doing that well at Silverstone. But yeah, so Leopard's consistency is what has allowed him to continue his title hopes for as long as he has. But you're exactly right. He's going to have to start taking race wins off of Surprise if he wants to have any sort of hope. And with only 9 races, including this one that we're in, with 9 races still to go, he is still very much in it. That 43-point gap. He only needs to, basically, he just needs to start winning races. He doesn't even need bad luck on Surprise's side or anything like that. He just needs to start winning races. So he's still in this, But yeah, exactly as you say, he needs to start beating Surprise on track.
He's been incredibly impressive just in this season, hasn't he, Leopard? He's really stepped up to the plate. And, you know, he did let himself down ever so slightly in Austria, where he was a bit rash at the start of that race. And, you know, didn't follow it up with a great result in Silverstone. But, you know, if he could just manage to put 2 good races together there, and even if he didn't win them, he'd still be right on the tail of Veloci Surprise. I mean, if we think back to, was it Baku when Surprise had that issue where he ended up out because of a lag incident? It wasn't his fault. Leopard actually took the lead of the championship, and that was off the back of 3 straight Surprise wins in the first few races. So, I mean, I suppose Leopard will be slightly annoyed with himself to have had a couple of bad races, because, you know, to beat Surprise over a 21 race season, you need to be near perfect. And, you know, still, regardless of that, he's done really well, and I've been very impressed by him. And we need to also talk about Pinecone. He's 71 points off the championship, leading third. And his consistency's been fantastic as well. It was only because he didn't start in Australia and Bahrain that he is as far back as he is. He himself has also only been off the podium twice, Justin. So, you know, these young drivers all coming through, and it's great to see. It's great for the league, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is fantastic. I was on board with Amaze there as he took out something made out of styrofoam. Yeah, so it's been fantastic what Pinecone has been doing recently. He's in the same sort of situation as Leopard, though. He's only got the 1 victory so far this season. If you look at OMG It's Joe, he's well down the order in 7th position in the championship standings. He is also quickest at the moment out of everybody. It looks like Surprise is coming to the end of a quick lap now, though, so let's go on board with the Alfa Romeo. As we talk about OMG It's Joe, he's got 2 race wins, and then he's got 2 championship points that he picked up in Spain. And that's it as far as scoring. He's only scored 3 times in 12 rounds this season. He missed a lot of races and DNF'd a race or 2 as well. So it hasn't, as Surprise goes second quickest by 1,000th of a second. That's a headline right there. But yeah, OMG It's Joe is... He's won more races than both Leopard and Pinecone. In fact, he's won as many as both of them combined. So he definitely seems to be the main contender for race wins. The problem is he's taking those race wins away from Leopard and Pinecone, those potential race wins away from Leopard and Pinecone, where, you know, potentially they may have been able to score more points there. Because, of course, Joe's race wins came during races where Surprise didn't get on the podium. And that's been one of the statistics that we've been really talking about for a good portion of this season, is Surprise either wins the race or doesn't get on the podium at all. He has not finished in 2nd or 3rd all season. He's either 1st or 4th or 9th. Those are his options.
It's pretty strange, isn't it, for Surprise? When he has a bad race, he really does have a bad race. If he's a good race, it really is an absolutely fantastic result. I mean, as you say, you know, just to back up what you said, Justin, both times OMG It's Joe won, as you mentioned, Surprise off the podium, and both times Pinecone second. So absolutely races where it's taking points away from a potential title challenge from the likes of Pinecone or Leopard. But, you know, OMG It's Joe, he is very quick. We know what he's capable of. But, of course, at the start of the season, it was still kind of the summer. I think he was away on holiday a couple of times around that period. He didn't start 3 of the first 4 races. And a 14th in Bahrain didn't really help either. So, you know, that put a massive dent in any championship aspirations right away. And, you know, that's probably why he's not been maybe as committed this season. You know, since then, another few did not start as well. So it's been a bit of a scrappy season all in for OMG It's Joe. But I'm pretty sure when next season comes round, he'll be fighting ready and really ready to challenge the likes of Surprise over the course of the season, because we know how quick he is. And, you know, look at that at the top of the timing sheets. It's a 7-kilometre circuit, and they're covered by 1,000th of a second. Crazy.
Yeah, that truly is incredible stuff. It is an unbelievably long lap around here, more than 100 seconds, and that's even if you're extremely quick. And yeah, just 1,000th of a second between the two of them, both of them getting into the 142.3s. On board with Danny F31 in the Ferrari. He's the lone Ferrari for today's race. And he's one of the 5 drivers that has yet to set a time so far in this qualifying session. But also, you guys may have noticed down there in 12th position as Danny goes up into 8th with the 143.2. So he's nearly a full second off of the time that Joe and Surprise are putting in, but that's just a banker lap. We'll see if he's going to be able to close down that gap with his final couple of runs as we get into the final 10 minutes of this qualifying session, actually. It's going rather quickly. But yeah, CRG Lutt down in 12th position. That is Snazzy Evening, for those of you guys who are not aware. His full name is it Keaton? Is it Keaton? Keaton Lutt? I'm not sure on the pronunciation of his first name, but his last name's definitely Lutt, at least as far as I could tell. But yeah, that's him. He's been signed over to CRG, so he's got the name change, and it's always good to see our drivers getting picked up by teams.
It is great to see drivers getting picked up, and Snazzy Evening or Kiron Lut or however you pronounce it. He has been he's been fantastic, hasn't he? He's been really quick, and not just this league and other leagues as well. And it's good to see that he's been spotted and picked up by CRG. So hopefully he can get a strong result here as he's out there on the track at the moment, Justin, pushing hard in that Haas. What's it going to be through the second sector timing beam? Let's have a look. 1 minute 14.550. So let's see how he completes this lap. One of 4 drivers yet to have a time on the board. Leopard, John Papp and ESR Amazed the other. So 2 Haasies, 2 Red Bulls yet to have a time on the board. Has he backed out of this one? Is he still pushing on? Looks like he's still pushing on, getting a nice toe there from Jason97 F1 as he makes his way down into the bus stop chicane, an area where we might see quite a bit of overtaking in the race. It is a track where we get plenty of it. So here comes Cadon Luck round the final corner. What's it going to be? A 42.4. He pops it up into 3rd place, just a tenth and a bit, nearly 2 tenths shy of the top 2. A solid effort to open his account for the session, Justin.
Yeah, that is a really good time. It's within 2 tenths of what the top 2 guys were able to do, and only marginally quicker than Pinecone. So we've got a bit of a CRG rivalry going on there on the second row of the grid, or provisional second row of the grid. 11 times on the board now after Keaton put in his time. And there goes the other Haas of John Papp, putting himself up into 8th position on the 4th row of the grid with that 143.0. So he's about 7 tenths off pole position as it stands right now, almost 8 tenths of a second. But Snazzy Evening, aka Keaton Lutt, he is in 8th position in the championship standings. He's been, he's showed really impressive signs, not just here at Apex Online Racing, but also at the F1 Esports as well too, making a bit of a name for himself, getting himself known anyway. He's had some really good pace, but he's not the most consistent. And as far as AOR results have been concerned in season 18, he has been sort of in the bottom half of the top 10. So he's traditionally a point scorer with 10th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 10th, 5th, 8th. So yeah, he's never been higher than 5th. But he's actually never finished a race outside of a points-paying position. He's got a couple of DNFs and a couple of DNSs, so that's part of the reason why he's down in 8th position. But yeah, he doesn't even have as many points as OMG It's Joe, and OMG It's Joe, again, has only scored 3 times out of the 12 races that we've had so far. So he doesn't tend to score very high up, but he's, consistently in the points. So he's definitely been one of the guys that we've been watching, hoping for maybe something a little bit better, hoping to see him, challenge for podiums, picking up podiums, all of that kind of stuff. Because we do like to see that progression from a driver. We like to see the drivers get better and better, like we've seen with Pinecone, like we've seen with Joe, like we've seen, honestly, with Surprise as well, too. A lot of these drivers, we get to watch them grow and become better and better drivers. And that's what we want to see for Snazzy Evening, because he is just outside of that spot where he's going to be threatening for podiums. So it's not too difficult for him. Well, I say not too difficult. He's not too far off, but of course the tenths get harder and harder to find. Just over 6 minutes remaining in qualifying here. Still just 12 times on the board. Yet to see times from either Red Bull.
Well, Justin, as you speak about that, I've got to say Leopard at the minute going very quickly through the first couple of sectors, and I think he's going to be on a pretty strong lap here. So this is going to be challenging up towards the front of the field. What's it going to be then from Leopard then as he makes his way into the final couple of corners? He was about 2 or 3 tenths quicker than I think what Lutt was through the first couple of sectors. So this is going to be threatening perhaps pole position. Here comes Leopard for the line, and it is.
Oh, wow.
Pole position, a 1:42.162, and with 5.5 minutes to go in the session, roughly, the bar has been lowered significantly by one of the title challengers, Leopard, 42.1. That is a great time, and we've got a real challenge here from Joe and Surprise to try and match it. It's a great effort there from Leopard.
Yeah, it's a fantastic lap time. I'm really happy about that, bringing the fight to the top guys. I have to say, I don't have the qualifying statistics as far as who's gotten pole and who's qualified where so far this season. But certainly, it seems to me that qualifying is the area that separates Leopard and Surprise the most. Surprise often out-qualifies Leopard, at least in my mind. Again, I don't have the actual statistics in front of me, so I could be making an absolute hash of that. But it just feels that way. It always feels like Surprise is starting higher up than Leopard. And I mean, there's been times where I think Leopard has qualified on like the 4th row of the grid, something like that. Just not a competitive place to be. It's really not where you want to be at the start of a race. It just makes things so much harder, especially when your only target really, because really his only target at the moment is to beat Surprise. He does need to be mildly concerned about Pinecone behind him. It's a 28-point gap between the two of them currently, and Pinecone is closing that in as of recently. There was a few races in a row, actually, where Pinecone outscored several races in a row, actually. Five races in a row where Pinecone has outscored Leopard. However, Leopard swung that back into his direction at the previous race at Hungary, getting that 2nd place position. In fact, our podium last time in Hungary was the championship order. It was Surprise, the leader, getting the win, Leopard in 2nd, picking up 2nd, and Pinecone in 3rd, picking up 3rd. So it was a little bit boring in that regard. But yeah, I would say Leopard's main focus is going to be beating Surprise. That's the main thing that he's concerned about at the moment. And when you start down in 7th or something like that, it makes that job basically impossible.
It makes it very difficult, Justin. And while you were talking there, I thought I would actually have a look through the archives and have a look and see how many times Leopard has outqualified Surprise this season. And I can tell you, it's just once, and that was in the Canadian Grand Prix. So, you know, you've got great memory there, Justin. And there you go. It was just the once, and that was in Canada. So a quick look through the AOR archives and stats, I was able to get the answer for you. So, yeah, only once. It's very important. He makes that twice today, starting from pole. And he's on provisional pole as things stand. 3 minutes to go in the session. It's about to get to the business end of the action. I think the next man to start a lap will be John Papp in 10th place in the Haas. So let's see how he gets on as he attacks this 7-kilometre circuit, one of the longest on the calendar.
Cars starting to come out of the garage, and they're doing their final preparations for their final attempt. I'm just on board with OMG, it's Joe. That was him just letting his teammate Pinecone through, actually. But yeah, I do expect more and more cars to come streaming out of the pits to prepare for their final laps, because again, it is a rather long lap, so really within the next 40 seconds, they want to be exiting the pit lane so that they can get around and find that start-finish line before the checkered flag falls in just about 2.5 minutes' time. So I know Pinecone is ahead. Who is that ahead of Pinecone, actually? Was that one of the Red Bulls? I think that might be... No, it's not going to be a Maze, so that might be Leopard, actually. No, Leopard's in the pit, so I'm just completely confused about where people are. Let's see if I go on board. Can I see who it is? Oh, it's a Haas. It's a Haas. Is it Keaton? Yep, it is Keaton Lutt. Just starting his lap now, so I think he's going to be one of the... Yeah, him and John Papp, actually, are going to be the first people to set their final laps, both the Haas's.
Amazed
Yes.
as well.
Good
so I think John Papp will be first to see the flag. Then I think it's going to be Amazed, and then it will be the other Haas of Kedon. So we'll see how that unfolds. Then we'll have a look at John Papp then, see how he's getting on through the first couple of sectors. Then the time from Leopard after the second sector was 1:14.2. So keep an eye on that and see roughly where he is in comparison to that 1:14, 1:14.9 through the second sector. So he's around 7/10 slower up to that point from what Leopard's done so far. 9/10 slower overall currently, so you know it's going to be around the same time, I would think, from John on this lap. We'll wait and see how he gets on as he makes his way through the flat out Blanchimont and down into the bus stop chicane. Where's he going to put the Haas? Can he move up any higher into the top 10, locking up the right front tyre as John Papp, the Greek god, makes his way around the final corner? Where's it going to go? He stays 10th quickest, and Amazed is going to be next across the line. I think he might have backed out, Justin, so it might be time to go to the other Haas of Kedon Lutt. Let's have a look at him then.
Yep, in 4th position at the moment with that 42.4. One of the quicker guys out there for sure. It's a pretty sizable gap, actually, from 7th down to 8th, about 0.3 of a second as he makes his way down the... Is this the back straight, or is the Kemmel straight the back straight, technically? I actually don't... Maybe this circuit's got 2 back straights through Blanchimont. Using the curbing there, of course, completely flat out. No surprises there. Jason getting nicely out of the way at the bus stop chicane. He goes a little bit deep into the corner there, but that's not going to be too much of an issue. It's a short run to the line, so he might lose a few kph on the run down to the line. It's a 1:42.486. Stays 4th quickest. Not a massive improvement, actually. Not a massive improvement in all. I think it was like a 100th of a second that he found in that one. So, and it does look like Leopard is going to be the last one to cross the line. There's 10 seconds left in this session. I think he's going to be safe. Yeah, he's going to be perfectly fine, and he does indeed cross the line. So out of the top guys, Joe's already done his final time, 1:42.2. He's not continuing on with this lap, is he? No, he doesn't have enough ERS. There's no way that's going to work. So OMG, it's Joe is done. Veloci Surprise is out there, and he is further ahead than Leopard at the moment. Pinecone is done as well, only a 1:42.5 for him.
Yeah, P1R Brown's on a quick lap, Justin. He's gone through the second sector. He's finding around a 10th and a half so far on his previous best. So this could potentially move him into the top 4 places if he can put together the final sector. So OMG improved to a 1:42.2. Pinecone didn't make the most of his lap. I think he might have went again. But here's P1R Brown then, making his way through the final couple of corners. Currently P6. Will he move up onto the first few rows? He does go up to 4th. Good time there from P1R Brown. 1:42.4. Martin's bailed out of his lap. Pinecone has gone again, by the way, so we'll need to keep an eye on him. Leopard as well out there. I think Pinecone and Joe's still going as well, Justin. Joe going again on another attempt, and he's finding time. He's very quick, Joe, through the second sector. So this is on then for OMG. It's Joe to try and topple and take top spot away. Surprise, though, 42.0. Joe might be quicker than that, though. Joe is going very, very quickly behind that on the road. Let's keep an eye on that Mercedes, making his way down towards the final couple of corners, into the bus-stop chicane. No, he's going straight on. He was finding time, though, Justin, so that's strange. So what's Leopard going to do then?
Yeah, Leopard is the last of the heavy hitters. There was Pinecone still going quickly at the moment. That is going to be it for OMG. It's Joe. Leopard into the bus stop chicane now. Gets it all slowed down nicely. Doesn't go too deep. That's a Mercedes at the chicane. I'm going to assume that was Pinecone. And it is going to be for Leopard as he crosses the line. Not a competitive time of 1:46.0. So it is going to be Surprise that takes pole position. Outqualifies Leopard. That'll be for the 11th time. No, 12th time this season. So it is, but he is on the front row. So at the very least, he is right there with Surprise. The main issue in qualifying with Leopard is when he qualifies with several cars between him and Surprise. He's right there with him. He does have a couple of Mercedes right behind him, some very quick Mercedes as well. OMG, it's Joe, only half of a tenth slower than Leopard at the end of qualifying. So he's got a couple of Mercedes behind him that he needs to really be concerned about. But, you know, often they say that you actually want to be starting from second position at Spa just because the amount of slipstream that you get on the Kemmel Straight on the opening lap. So this could be the best possible scenario potentially for Leopard. It looks like Mulder and Danny have picked up penalties there, grid penalties. That's an interesting one. I don't remember the last time we saw any grid penalties, but let's quickly go through this. Surprise and Leopard on the front row, the two Mercedes locking out the second row. Then it's P1R Brown and Keaton Lutt in 5th and 6th position on the third row. Martin and JC97 F1 in 7th and 8th. Mulder and John Papp rounding out the top 10. Danny F31 and SSR Boberts, both Ferraris on the 6th row, locking out that one. Then it's the other McLaren of Franglish and the Red Bull of ESR Amazed bringing up the rear in 14th position after not setting a competitive time. So Amazed clearly struggling a little bit out there today as he was unable to put in a competitive time. So that is how things are looking for qualifying. And I have to say, this is looking very, very tasty, actually. I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one, Justin. I think it's set up very nicely. And as you said, being on pole isn't always the perfect thing at Spa with that long run up the hill and towards the end of that first sector. You know, it's going to be an exciting race. I just want to know, I had a look at the incidents there from qualifying. The reason Danny and Mulder got penalties is because apparently they crashed into each other. They made contact with one another according to the incidents on the race director. So I don't know how that one occurred, but that is what happened, and they both got a slap in the wrist from the virtual stewards. So that was that one. But yeah, it's also a racetrack where breaking the DRS train is going to be very, very difficult. So I think there could be 4, 5, maybe 6 cars fighting at the front of this race, at least until the first round of stops, Justin. We just need to wait and see how the first couple of laps pan out. If there is any incidents at the front that would maybe break that up and avoid that from happening. But obviously, as a neutral point of view, we want to see as many cars fighting for the win, and hopefully there isn't any incidents and they're all closely matched in the first couple of laps. It's going to be an interesting one, an exciting one, and I'm looking forward to it. But you do feel pretty soon, and I know there's still plenty of rounds left, but you know, Leopard needs to start taking the victories and taking it back to Surprise, doesn't he?
Yep, exactly right. And hopefully that's what we'll get. We'll get something that tightens up the championship. That's what we would love to see as people who just enjoy the AOR F1 leagues. We are going to have a quick word from our sponsors. We'll be back in just a moment. And we're back. Thank you very much, everybody. Yeah, so thankfully it is a rather... we did have time for that brief ad break because it is a rather long lap. They're only just now getting into the corner with no name. But yeah, surprise from pole position. Leopard from possibly the better position of second. I would say, and you know what we saw in the F1 Esports Pro Series and in the 2020 qualifying rounds as well too, because we've seen both qualifying and Pro Series races at Spa this year. What we saw is, yeah, just a lot of passing back and forth. I mean, that's how Daniel Beresnay won the race in Belgium. He just waited until right at the end. I mean, there was a couple of laps still to go, but you know, there was a lot of passing back and forth right up until that moment. So. Yeah, I'm expecting there's going to be a lot of overtakes today.
Yeah, it's going to be a cracker, Justin. I'm really looking forward to it. And yeah, just cannot wait to see how it unfolds. No sign of any rain either. It looks like it's going to be a dry day in Spa. Not often we see that. Often get quite a lot of rain sometimes in the races on this game here. But it's a beautiful day up in the mountains. And it's going to be a cracking race ahead. 22 laps ahead of the drivers. Should be a cracker. Everyone on the soft tyre, with the exception of SSR Bobberts, who's gone for the medium, and Danny F31 down at the back after that grid pen, also on the mediums. Everyone else on the soft tyre. And yeah, it's all set up for a cracking race. Can Surprise get another win? Can Leopard get his second win of the season and cut the gap in the championship? You feel he has to. What about OMG? It's Joe. He's already had 2 wins this season in what has been a topsy-turvy season for him. Can he get back to winning ways? What about Pinecombe? We know he's quick too. P1R Brown put in a good showing. CRG Lutt showing out for CRG for the first time. What can he do from 6th? So many questions, Justin. We're about to find the answers.
Whoa, I got some crazy camera angles going on. Here we go. The lights are coming on in Belgium for the 13th round of Apex Online Racing Hype Energy F1 League on the Xbox platform. It looks like a fantastic start for Surprise. He is going to hold on to that lead into the first corner. I don't think Leopard would have actually wanted to move ahead of Surprise before the first corner, though. I'm sure he's very excited about staying behind. In the background, the 2 Mercedes jostling for position. Keaton Lutt coming under attack from P1R Brown for 5th position as well. It looks like Jason 97 F1 gaining some positions as well. Yeah, he's up 1 position, getting ahead of TRL Martin. Here we go. Surprise and Leopard side by side. Outside line for the Red Bull. It's going to be 3 wide, actually, as OMG It's Joe gets involved, but he backs out of that one wisely. And Surprise does manage to hold on to that with the inside line. Coming to the end of the Kemmel Straight, he stays ahead of the Red Bull. The 2 Mercedes, as they were, OMG It's Joe staying ahead of Pinecone. Got some serious jostling for position going on in the background here, though. That's TRL Martin and P1R Brown going side by side with one another. P1R Brown losing a position at the start of this race to CRG Lutt. And Martin's maintaining the position that he was in. He gets that position back on Jason 97 F1. That's what happened there.
A great start to the race, Justin. Very, very clean from all the drivers. You know, for a moment you were holding your breath at going up into the braking zone at Le Combe. We're almost 3 wide for the lead, weren't we? But Surprise doing really well to hold on. Joe thought about it, trying to go up the inside of them both. Couldn't quite find the space. Long race ahead, 22 laps. We don't want to see them running into each other straight away. This is exactly what we wanted from a neutral's perspective. Everyone within a second, right up at the front, and it will mean that we should have a good race. We've got someone off at the back, I presume. It's Danny F31, who's had a spin at the second part of Stavlo, Justin. I'm not too sure how.
Gotcha. Not sure if another car was involved in that. I'm on board with AOR Frank, which he's gotten very close to the back of SSR Bobberts, and he is going to go up the inside at the bus stop chicane, around the outside for the second part of it. The Ferrari's fighting him back, though, and it looks like he will have the traction. Whoa, VSC, virtual safety car. Yeah, I was about to say, is there something wrong with his engine? But no, that is the VSC deployed. And just as a reminder, Bobberts is he's the only driver on the medium compound tires after we lose Danny F31. So virtual safety car is out at the moment, so everybody will be driving to a Delta, and there will be no overtaking from any cars throughout the field. SSR Bobberts is rather close to the back of Jason 97 F1, and actually Jason has kind of lost touch with TRL Martin a little bit there. I think he needs to kind of get a move on. But yeah, I don't imagine this VSC period will last for too long. We'll probably get racing again pretty quickly here. Only 22 laps of racing, obviously, for the 50% distance race here at Spa for the Belgian Grand Prix. But yeah, as you said, aside from that issue that we had from Danny there, that was a very clean start to the race. I have to say, really impressive stuff from all our drivers.
It was a really clean start. Great to see everyone playing the percentage game on the run up the hill to the column as we get back underway once again. No one seems to be sleeping apart from maybe Mulder further down the back. I think he might have lost the place there to AOR Franglish in amongst that all. So Franglish gets ahead of Mulder. Interestingly, Justin, I was keeping an eye there, watching the stream, obviously, which is delayed from what I'm watching in real time, watching that virtual safety car deployment back. I think everyone, with the exception of maybe John Papp, was past the pit lane point when this virtual safety car was deployed. So maybe if John Papp was a little bit quicker thinking, he might have got down the pit lane under VSC and maybe went onto the hard compound, but didn't choose to do that. I don't know how long tyres would last. Maybe people in the comment section can tell me if pitting on lap 1 for hards during a virtual safety car would help or hinder you. But just putting it out there. But I think he was the only man that would have had a chance to pit had he chose to, but didn't choose to, and everyone remains out on the track. And it's surprise still leading from Leopard and Joe.
Yep, it is still rather... I mean, look at the stream of cars as we start lap 3. DRS is enabled, and of course, Leopard will have the benefit of that drag reduction system as they come down the Kemmel Straight this time. He's got, OMG, it's Joe all over the back of him, though. At the moment, I would say Joe, just purely because of how close he is to Leopard, is probably going to have the highest top speed, despite the fact that, of course, Leopard will have the DRS and Joe will as well. But I have a feeling here it could be OMG, it's Joe. Let's go on board with the young Mercedes driver. Is Leopard going to be close enough to mount an attack on surprise? No. Is Joe going to be close enough? No. Was Joe even in a high deployment mode? I don't think he was. When I looked down just before the braking zone, he was already in 0. So that's the downside to a circuit like Spa, though. And we saw a bit of this in F1 esports as well, too. People are just going to hang behind for a while anyway until they've generated enough battery charge in their car, until they've got enough ERS so that when they make the overtake, they can at least attempt to try and pull away with a full battery charge. But yeah, so Joe not opting to go ahead, but wow, look at the gap we're already seeing between the two Mercedes here, Andy. It's already 1.5 seconds. That is very surprising. Did Pinko not get DRS?
Not too sure what happened. I don't think he did get DRS, Justin, so I'm not too sure how he's managed to drop off the tail there. He must have made a mistake somewhere, and this is what I was talking about before the race got underway. Any incidents or any small mistakes will break the train up, and because Joe and Leopard are all following in a nice DRS train, it's almost impossible for Pinecone to catch on to the back of them. I mentioned this before, Justin, haven't I? It's like the cycling. It's like when they all group together and help each other out to try and catch up on everyone else. And, I think that's going to be curtains already for Pinecone at a gap of 1.5 seconds. He's going to have to work really hard to get back within that range. And I think Lott there had a big slide there coming out of the final corner. Just about held it all together. But, he's in 5th place. Fiona Brown, very close to the back of him, going into the first corner, nearly running straight into the back of the Haas. And that's put him out of shape. And it's going to give Martin a run up the hill as they make their way through Eau Rouge for the 4th time out of 22, and Martin is tucked right up behind the back of that Williams, and surely he's going to go for a move. We've got a yellow flag. Is Bobert's on the wall at Eau Rouge? Yes, he is. He's round and facing the wrong way anyway, and he's got back going again. So Boberts has an issue as Martin goes down the inside of P1R Brown, can't find a way through. So Boberts spinning, not too sure who with, Justin. I think he was fighting with Franglish and Jason perhaps, so not going well for either Ferrari. Danny off and out, and Bobert's down at the back as well now.
Yeah, tough day for the Tifosi with Danny F31 out at the end of lap 1, was it? Or the end of lap 2? I think it was the end of lap 1, wasn't it?
Yeah, lap 1, lap 1 he was out.
Yeah, it's just, again, it's such a long lap. It felt like it was further into the race, but yeah, that was right at the end of lap 1, and now Bobbers with that spin at Eau Rouge, or Radion, whichever one it was. We're not going to get into that today. And it's unfortunately going to drop him down into 13th position, and with an 8-second gap as well, too. Now, this could be a race of attrition, potentially. We could see more incidents. Again, it's just very high speed, so, it's more likely for problems to occur, that sort of stuff. Looking at the gap up at the front, I don't think Leopard is going to be close enough into the bus stop chicane, so I'm going to stay on board with TRL Martin just for the meantime as he makes his way through Blanchimont down towards the bus stop chicane. I have to say, CRG Lutt, though, on the other hand, is looking rather close to the back of Pinecone, and again, Pinecone not picking up the DRS. He's sort of maintaining that gap to OMG and to Joe. It's only about a 10th bigger than it was previously, and that's with Joe picking up the DRS off of Leopard up ahead of him. So Pinecone is doing a good job not to fall back any further currently, but I mean, maybe what he needs to do here is just let Lutt through And then they can possibly work together to try and close up. Because now, look at that. It's 1.8 seconds now between Joe and Pinecone. Here we go. ERS deployment mode is in 4 for CRG Lut, and he is going to go around the outside, but he takes the position even before the braking zone. No surprise there. Again, he really set himself up for that overtake nice and early, which you really have to do. I mean, you have to start, the crazy thing about Spa is you have to start thinking about your overtake, you know, at Stavolo, basically, and then you finally make the overtake at Lake Home. You got to really prep.
Yeah, it's a strange one, isn't it, Justin? It's we actually saw it on the F1 Esports series as well. There's no point in overtaking at the bus stop.
Yep.
And there's also a situation where we've seen people slowing down on the exit of the turn one before the activation zone, haven't we? We've seen that as well. No, you go. No, I'll go. So yeah, it's all about just making sure that you're the car behind in position to attack with that DRS up the Kemmel straight and making the move into the com. But that was a 3-second time penalty there for CRG Luck, so that is a sore one for him to take. Then the man in P4 at the moment. You have to feel if Luck, Pinecone, P1R Brown, Martin, if any of them want to get fighting with the guys at the front, they're going to have to go for a bit of an aggressive undercut here on the top three. And I don't think the pit stops will be too far away if anyone is going to try an undercut.
Having a look at P1R Brown, he gets within 1/10.5 of CRG Pinecone. He's right on the back of him, just tucked underneath the rear wing of that Mercedes as they get into the braking zone, and Pinecone pits into the pits nice and early, into lap 5 now with 17 laps still to go in this Belgian Grand Prix, so that is a very early pit stop. Thierry Martin follows him in as well in the Alfa Romeo. These, of course, are two drivers that have other people on their teams, so I do wonder if this means that Surprise and Joe are going to be pitting next lap.
We'll have to wait and see. I think what Martin and Pinecone have realised here is if they're coming in the next lap, they don't want to be another lap later than that because they'll lose even more. Oh, sorry, on you go.
Yeah, Surprise with the inside line with the DRS. He is going to take the lead of the race from Leopard rather easily, especially, again, with that inside line into Lake Home. Nice, easy move. OMG, it's Joe was there or thereabouts, but in the end, couldn't make an overtake either. It looks like Mulder and Franglish also swapping positions around. It looked like that happened right at the end of the Kemmel Straight as well. So a few overtakes happening, but I mean, these aren't exciting overtakes. You know, when you get the overtake done before the braking zone, even it does kind of take away some of the excitement from it. So seemingly the DRS just a little bit too powerful here at Spa. Maybe they need to shorten that just a little bit, at least in the game. Oh, and that is going to be the end of the race for ESR Amazed. And that is why, if you're SSR Bobberts, you don't give up. That's why you don't retire, because now he's effectively in 12th position, essentially. He did get an undercut on Pinecone and Martin, but I don't think that is going to be all that helpful for him. No, actually, he hasn't been into the pits yet. I apologize. So, yeah, he is in 12th position. But if two more people retire, then boom, there's your championship point.
Absolutely, you just got to keep plugging away, just keep going, don't you? And you know, it can do you a lot of help if you continue to do that. You know, it can help your pace. Leopard makes his way into the pits. That was a late call almost, wasn't it?
I thought he was spinning.
Yeah, he was just waiting to see what Surprise was doing and then veered across and into the pit lane. So Surprise going very long then. Leopard going for the undercut to get back into the lead of this race by the looks of it. Let's see where the likes of Leopard, P1R Brown and let's see where they all are in comparison to the early stopping Pinecone and Martin. Pinecone's coming across the start-finish line now to begin lap number 7. Where are they all going to be? Where is Leopard? There is Leopard there, rejoining the track with Joe right behind him as Bobbert's going ahead. And just behind that is CRG Pinecone. So Pinecone getting back within DRS range. And to be honest, I think that's all they could have hoped for there. So he's now back within touch of those guys as Bobberts is under pressure from Leopard, Justin. And this should be candy for my baby, easing alongside and taking that position away.
Yep, and indeed, Leopard does breeze his way by. This is where I'm sort of glad that it's so easy to overtake at Spa, because, of course, it just makes things really easy as far as traffic is concerned. Now, the problem for Bobberts here, though, is that OMG It's Joe is now stuck behind for the entirety of Sector 2. He's not really going to have an opportunity to overtake here, so this has worked out really well. Oh, never mind. Bobberts has completely made a hash of the corner with no name. He's going to pick up a 3-second time penalty and lose a heap of time as well, too. It is going to drop him just ahead of Pinecone. So now Pinecone is the one that's going to be suffering, but look at that coming out of Puan. He's just got the drive that he needs in order to quickly overtake Bobberts. And as you said, candy from a baby. P1R Brown next in line to try and breeze his way past that Ferrari with the very old medium compound tires on. They are going to be now approaching 7 laps old, those mediums. So compare that to P1R Brown's rather fresh tires. Let's see, when did he come in. This is literally his first lap. So, yeah, he's going to be quite a bit
Surprise
quicker than Bobberts. And Surprise is in. Let's go on board with Leopard and see what this is going to do for him. Oh,
we got John Papp in the wall, I think. John Papp
okay.
is in the wall. Where Kimi Räikkönen binned it all those years ago in 2008, Justin.
Yep.
So, don't know what happened there, but he's out of the race. Or out of the running, anyway. There's Pinecone. Where's the Surprise going to be on pit exit? He's still going to lead this. Wow.
Wow.
What an in-lap.
Yeah, what an in-lap. You took the words right out of my mouth. What an in-lap. From Valache Surprise to build a 1.1 second gap. He's done exactly what he needs to do to break that DRS, and that is why he's leading the championship. That is actually incredible. That is incredible stuff. He overcut. He overcut to break the DRS. That's alien level stuff.
It's absolutely staggering, Justin. It really is. And Leopard, let's remember, folks, Leopard passed the traffic on the straight, so it was an advantage for him. He gained DRS out of it. It wasn't as if he was hanging around trying to get past in the corners. So, you know, passing Bobberts actually favoured Leopard. He wasn't stuck in traffic. And for Surprise to do that is astonishing. You know what I think he's done in the opening stint? He's looked after those tyres.
Yep.
He just used the DRS train and then just went BAM on those couple of laps and delivered what could potentially be a killer punch in this Grand Prix. Magnificent stuff from Surprise, and he's got that 1 second margin he needs to try and build away into a bigger gap. But what I will say, Justin, is he's used a lot of his battery up trying to get away. He's only on 9%. Will that come back to haunt him? Probably not, because Leopard himself is only on 10%.
Yeah, I was looking at Leopard right as I was like, oh, I got to see what Leopard's at now that you've told me how little ERS Surprise has. And Leopard is in very much the same sort of condition. OMG It's Joe has a little bit more. He's sitting on 25% at the moment. Yeah, so he's got about 10 to 15% more than Leopard does at the moment. And then you've got Pinecone on a similar sort of level as OMG It's Joe. So both of the Mercedes running fairly well as far as ERS is concerned. Just behind Pinecone, though, P1R Brown within DRS range of Pinecone. Pinecone has fallen out of DRS range again. That happened while we were talking not that long ago, Andy. Pinecone fell out of the DRS range once again, and unfortunately finds himself in the same position that he was in previously, which is outside of the top three, coming under threat from the Williams. He's going to defend the inside line on the run down towards Lacombe. Around the outside goes P1R Brown, but again, he's just going to breeze past even before they get into the braking zone, and he's going to easily move himself up into fourth position. Now, Pinecone, you know, he could just stick to the back of the Williams and retake him in the next lap. So it's not like race over or anything like that for him, but again, he's just kind of removed himself from any potential of picking up a podium here unless something truly shocking happens from the top three. At the moment, OMG It's Joe is pretty close to the back of Leopard. Leopard was maintaining that gap to Surprise. It was hovering right around 1.1, but look at the way that the Alfa Romeo driver has just extended that lead through Sector 2. It's now nearly 1.7 seconds between Surprise and Leopard, and I have to say at this point, especially considering he's got the one-lap fresher tires, it's not going to make a huge difference, but it is going to help. I would say Surprise, not likely to make any sort of mistakes, probably going to run away with it. Thankfully, though, we do still have this battle between Leopard and Joe for second position. We've got a heck of a battle going on for just outside the podium positions as well, too, after P1R Brown overtook Pinecone. They've got Martin and Keaton Lutt in hot pursuit as well. Then there's a bit of a gap down to Jason 97 F1, LCR Mulder, Franglish. Those guys are all spread out a little bit. But again, Bobbert's now not giving up and finds himself one place away from a championship point, which would be fantastic for him. Again, I do really appreciate when drivers don't give up, so that's why I'm shouting him out down in 11th position. And we do still have a lot of race still to go. 13, just under 13 laps still to go. Anything can happen, and it probably will.
It always does at Spa, Justin, that's for sure. The one thing it probably won't happen, though, is rain. Doesn't look like it today. It's a beautiful day here in Belgium. Blue skies and sunshine as OMG It's Joe gets ever closer to the back of Leopard. What are you seeing, Justin?
Brown's got DRS off of OMG It's Joe. He got within 1 second. Wow.
Well, Brown's having a fine race as Martin is battling with Lutt, and Lutt's got ahead of him for sixth position up the inside at Lacombe. Looks like he breezed by. Not many side-by-side moments down there so far in today's race. It's all been done pretty early on.
Yeah.
On that back straight. So Lutt's got that move done on Martin up into sixth position. But yeah, P1R Brown, he's having a fine race, isn't he? Yeah. Pinecone, likewise, compared to his high standards, not having a great one. A bit scrappy, keeps falling out of DRS range. And he knows if he wants to beat the likes of Surprise, Leopard and Joe, he needs to be on it 100%, not having it today. But Brown certainly looks like the surprise package in today's race, closing in on the back of Leopard and Joe, and looks like they're providing a real threat for second place. But we have to talk about Surprise. 2.8 seconds up the road. I am running out of words to describe this lad, Justin. It's astonishing, as Joe now is right on the back of Leopard, and Fiona Brown's right there as well. This is going to get very tasty, going down into the braking zone for the bus stop chicane. Is anyone going to make a move? Ooh. Look at Fiona Brown. He touched him. He touched him. Did he damage the wing, though? That's the big question. I think he's got away with it. Wow, that was a risky manoeuvre there from Brown. Too late on the brakes, but thankfully, Justin, no damage done, and he will remain in the fight.
Yeah, this is really tightening up here. Also, CRG Lutt getting within 1 second of Pinecone. After he made that overtake on Martin, he did drop outside of the DRS range off of that Mercedes, but through Sector 3 was able to close that back down, and he is now firmly in this train, in this battle for what is second position. This is now second all the way down to 7th. As you can see, all of them streaming down the Camel Straight at the moment. Martin seems like the one that is suffering, though, as OMG It's Joe gets the inside line, goes side by side with Leopard into Lake Home. We did finally get to see a side-by-side moment into Lake Home there. But it still wasn't all that exciting, if I'm honest, as Joe grabbed the inside line on Leopard and breezed his way up into second position. It's now 3.3 seconds, the gap between first and second. And I have a feeling Surprise is probably just going to extend that. Now, these guys are picking up the DRS and slipstream off of one another, but they're also going side by side. And at the moment, anyway, it seems to be favoring Veloce Surprise as he just continues to extend that gap up at the front. 3.3, nearly 3.4 seconds briefly there between himself and OMG It's Joe as we rapidly approach the halfway distance of this Belgian Grand Prix. And it's been an interesting race so far. Again, we haven't seen the best side-by-side overtaking, but it's just been so close. As Franglish now picks up a 3-second time penalty, it's been so close from second through 7th. And it's even, we've gotten those gaps that have developed, but then they've tightened right up again. Also, interestingly enough, I've just clocked this. It's rather tight now in the battle for 8th position, a three-way fight between Jason Mulder and Franglish for the final points positions.
A couple of nice little scraps going on, Justin, throughout the field. It's good to see. It's never nice to suggest I hope something happens to Surprise. I'm not saying I hope something happens, but imagine something did.
Right.
I mean, you'd have a 6-car fight for the victory. Yeah. It's just incredible how he's managed to break clear of this. He'll be smirking from ear to ear in his helmet. He'll be absolutely delighted with this. 3.2 seconds up the road of a 6-car fight per second. It just shows you how important that in-lap was. It really is astonishing, and he's broken clear as we all head down the back straight. Doesn't look like there's going to be any moves this time round in the battle for second. So let's have a look then and have a look at Mulder, because I think he is going to make a move on Jason, Justin. And here he goes. The Toro Rosso diving down the inside, and again, it's like typical move we've seen in today's race, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Done on the straight, not in the braking zone, and Mulder takes P8 away.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Again, it really does just seem that the DRS zone is a little bit too long at Spa. I mean, it's already pretty short, to be honest. When you look at the entire length of La Source all the way to Lake Home, I mean, the DRS activation happens like 2/3 down that flat out section, so it's already pretty short. But even still, it could probably do with a little bit shorter distance on it, at least again in the game. I don't remember how it worked in the Belgian Grand Prix earlier this year. I can barely remember what I had for dinner last night, so me trying to remember what the overtaking was like at the Belgian Grand Prix in the real F1 is probably not going to happen. But Mulder does move himself up into 8th ahead of Jason 97 F1, who is only barely ahead of his teammate Franglish, who I did see doing a bit of warping though, so I'm hoping that we don't see a coming together of the two McLaren drivers. John Papp picking up what I believe is actually his second time penalty. He's closing down on Boberts because, of course, he's got the medium compound tire and Boberts is on the harder compound tire. So not surprisingly, and John Papp is retired, so never mind. Boberts is not in any danger of losing that 11th place position any further. In fact, he can only go up from here, and if he goes up from here, he'll be picking up points. So that's good news for SSR Boberts, who again had that issue early on in the race, and that has unfortunately dropped him out of any real contention, but he could still get lucky here. Let's go and have a look at Leopard. Is he going to be close enough? You can see Joe did this on the previous lap. He's just weaving a little bit back and forth. I think he's just playing with us. I think he honestly knows that, I think he's just messing with us, the commentators specifically, if I'm honest.
OMG, it's Joe and Leopard having a nice little bit of fun. OMG, it's Joe moving around. I don't think that he and Leopard get on particularly well. I think there's a lot of history between them on the racetrack. So I think Joe, more than anything, trying to infuriate Leopard, trying to boil his blood perhaps. I'm not too sure. But yeah, 3.1 seconds to get to Surprise. Surprise looking strong. I should just remind you guys watching in the stream, in this 6-car battle, there's one man with a time penalty at the moment. That is CRG Lut with a 3-second time penalty. We should also mention Leopard and Brown, both one warning away from a time penalty. So those two also on thin ice with regards to that. So just to keep you guys updated, that's a time penalty for Lut and Leopard and P1R Brown on thin ice, one warning away. So keep an eye on that, folks, if it pops up at the bottom left of your screen. Lap 13 out of 22. The battle still rages on in the fight for second.
Yeah, 9 laps still to go in this race, and they can't pick up a single warning. And they're in a 6-car battle, or 7, whatever it is, a multi-car battle, 6-car battle for second position. So for them to not pick up any warnings whatsoever over the course of the next 9 laps would be truly impressive. So they're going to have to be really, really careful. Again, that is Leopard and Brown in 3rd and 4th currently. OMG, it's Joe currently leading this train, as he has done for a few laps now. And we'll see. Actually, let's go on board with Leopard. No, he has like no ERS actually. He's at 22%. Let's do a quick ERS check. 19% for P1R Brown, 48% for Pinecone, 30% for Lut. And Martin at the back is actually on 10% before he got into the braking zone for Lake Home. So that's very unfortunate. I wonder, does Martin have damage? Because this has not been a great day for TRL Martin. No, I'm seeing both end plates on his front wing. You get a great shot as he's going through turn 10 there, the downhill corner. So no damage whatsoever on that Alfa Romeo. He just really seems to be struggling out there. So at the moment though, Pinecone is looking the strongest as far as ERS harvesting is concerned. So if he can find a way past P1R Brown here, and John Papp is out. No, we already knew that. If he can find a way past P1R Brown here, Mulder's got a 3-second penalty now. Then he could probably get past Leopard and Joe fairly easily, and then he might be able to break away. But he's still trying to build up more ERS. I imagine he wants to be on 100% when he finally makes that overtake, or as close to 100% as possible.
I don't think there's any chance of anybody breaking away in this group. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think they're just too evenly matched on pace, and given that this racetrack is so strong for the DRS pool that it just tows you along, I just think they're all going to be locked together. P1R Brown, yes. CRG Pinecone, yes, he does have a lot more ERS in his pocket, but I just don't think he's got the raw speed today. I think twice he's dropped out of DRS range of other drivers, which is quite concerning given how how hard it is to fall out of DRS. So but it's been a bit of a scrappy afternoon for him. So I don't know. Well, he might have that in his pocket, but has he really got the pace to get up there and get past? We'll have to wait and see. But he's certainly given himself a good chance by harvesting that energy. So we'll wait and see. But I really do feel, Justin, that Veloci surprised with that in lap. It just knocked the stuffing, knocked the wind clean out of these guys' sails. He weakened them all. They all pushed like crazy to try and get ahead of him, and ran down the battery. And they must have been so demoralised when they saw Surprise was a second ahead when he came out of the pits. It's just crazy. It really is crazy. And Surprise has just left him in his wake today, and he's going to be a certainty for driver of the day if it stays like this.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. By the way, last check I had, OMG, it's Joe had actually generated more ERS than Leopard and Brown. Yeah, he's currently sitting now at 40%. Leopard's at 21%. P1R Brown 33%. So P1R Brown is closing back up to OMG, it's Joe. But at the moment, out of the guys that are leading this group of 6 cars, it really does seem like P1R Brown and OMG, it's Joe are actually doing the best, and Leopard not doing so good on the ERS management. Martin in real danger of falling off of this group too.
I tell you what, Joe's going to try and make a break for it here. He's got slightly more ERS, especially than Leopard, who's down at 9 or 8%. He's got the gap up to 7/10. So is Joe maybe in the second sector of this lap, after the DRS zone is passed, going to try and make a sprint for it? Maybe he already has tried on this lap to make a sprint, because he's got that gap up to 6 or 7/10. Watch it come straight back down through this first sector. But with Leopard so low in ERS, is this potentially a chance for Joe in the second sector to stick that ERS right up into mode 4 and try and break that DRS train for good? So big chance potentially for OMG on this lap, to OMG it's Joe to break that, perhaps. We'll wait and see. It's going to be tough though, that's for sure.
Leopard at 6% coming into Eau Rouge, 5% coming out of Radeon, 3% as he opens up the DRS and moves down to ERS mode 0, but he's not gaining any charge whatsoever down this straight. He is going to get a good amount of it as he gets into the braking zone for Lake Home, but yeah, he is really struggling with ERS at the moment, you have to say. OMG, it's Joe currently at sitting at 30% as he goes downhill into the braking zone for turn 10. And Leopard significantly lower than that. P1R Brown. Again, Pinecone seems to be doing the best. He's at almost 70% as they make their way through No Name. CRG Lut, not far behind him, is doing pretty well. And TRL Martin has indeed fallen out of the DRS off of this group of 5 cars ahead of him. So unfortunately, I don't think he's going to be a threat for the podium positions as we get into the final handful of laps in this race. 6 to go after they cross the start-finish line at the end of this lap. So this race is going by rather quickly. But of course, Spa, such a high-speed circuit. So when you have a dry race like this, and especially with the sort of easy overtaking that we've seen, not a lot of side-by-side action, lots of easy overtaking, getting the job done before the braking zone into Lake Home, and that's just allowing the cars to lap even quicker. I did notice that the gap has come down between Surprise and whoever happens to be in second place, which happens to be Joe at the moment anyway. It's now down to less than 3 seconds, but I have a feeling that Surprise is managing his tires, and I have a feeling he's going to go for fastest lap right at the end.
Yeah, he might just do that. You just never know. We know what he's like, isn't he? He just manages it, and then just boom, out of nowhere, he's just playing games, isn't he? Out front, he's cruising. He really is head and shoulders above. That's why he leads the championship by 43 points, soon to be 53, maybe 54. If Leopard stays third and he gets the fastest lap. So, yeah, things going very well for the championship leader, and he really is a star of the future. So impressive. And, I don't think anyone can deny him driver of the day if he goes on to win today, because it's just that in lap. And, I can't wait to talk to him, Justin, after this race, should he go on and win, because, I want to know about how he sets that up. Does he just sit there? Does he hold the tyres? Does he hold the ERS and just blitz it for 2 laps? I just want to know an insight to what goes through his mind in those couple of laps before that, because he executed it perfectly, and that's just what's won him the race today. It saved him so much stress, having to battle with 5-6 cars for this victory today, because we know how tough it is to break that DRS. So, what a job he's done, and thoroughly deserving of the victory. What a job.
Again, the performance we're seeing from P1R Brown today has also been really incredible. The Williams driver just locked into this fight, and we know how fast Joe and Leopard and Pinecone are, and we know how fast P1R Brown can be. We've seen some incredible performances from him in AOR, in F1 esports as well too. We've seen him with some pretty huge success as well. So we know how fast he can be, but today has been one of those truly impressive ones, because it just genuinely feels like he's as fast as the top guys. He's not gaining positions because other people are falling by the wayside because of mistakes or anything like that. He is just genuinely as quick as these guys. He's really doing an incredible job. He's nose to tail, actually, with Leopard ahead, Pinecone behind as they make their way through La Source. And on the right, it looks like CRG Lut not having the best of exits coming out of La Source, so he's not going to have any opportunities to overtake. We're on lap 18 out of 22 now. Coming up to the DRS activation now onto the Kemmel Straight for the Williams of P1R Brown. Is he going to be close enough this time? He is very close to the back of that Red Bull, but no, he's actually in deployment mode 0, despite being just a couple of meters off the back of that Red Bull. Really doesn't want to make that overtake, at least not yet. He might be just holding back and waiting for right at the end of the race.
Yep, it looks like it. They're all just sitting waiting for the final few laps. How often have we seen this, Justin? We've seen it in esports when in Austria, if you remember, in the F1 esports series. We're all waiting for this final lap showdown that never materialised, and I think it's certainly going to materialise amongst these drivers, because they're all very evenly matched. They've all got varying amounts of ERS deployment available. So yeah, the ones to watch towards the end: Pinecone, plenty of battery. And P1R Brown, just for the pace he's got out there, he might not have as much battery as Pinecone behind, but I really do think he looks pretty quick out there, pretty handy around this racetrack. So things looking good for him. Personally, I don't think Leopard's got an answer for Joe. I really don't think he does. I think Joe's got him covered. He's got him at arm's length. Yeah. I think it's more about whether Brown attacks Leopard or whether Pinecone uses that extra bit of battery to move ahead of Brown. So I think it's going to be around that 3rd, 4th, 5th position that we're going to see any changes, if we will.
I have to agree with you on that one. Leopard has been barely keeping up with OMG It's Joe, and usually it's the following car that is able to generate ERS more rather than the car that is leading. because of course he can use, you know, 0 ERS, open up the DRS as well too. Stuff like that you can do when you're the following car. Oh, missing the apex a little bit there for P1R Brown. I think he maybe was just trying for a slightly wider line, trying to carry more speed onto the straight on the rundown towards Eau Rouge. I don't think he's going to be closer than he was on the previous lap. This is only lap 19, still 3 laps to go after this one is completed. P1R Brown, though, is on 4 for his ERS deployment here. No, and he's dropped it down to 0 again. So he's hanging behind, but here we go. Leopard actually up the inside into Lake Home, is going to make the move on OMG It's Joe, moves himself up into second position, right as we were talking, saying that he doesn't have an answer for Joe. But let's look at the ERS. Joe's at 30%. Leopard is just under 20%. So there is still that ERS gap between the two of them, which makes me think that OMG It's Joe is probably going to grab second here. And if Leopard's not careful, he might lose out on third to P1R Brown.
Well, shut up, commentators. We might as well pack up and go home. Didn't see that one coming as P1R Brown picks up a time penalty. I said he and Leopard were on the bubble for getting one. Well, there you go. Brown's ran a little bit wide through Pujon, got on the curb, and his track extended, and that means a 3-second time penalty. And that's a real shame for him because he put together a fine race. But wow, what a job by Leopard to get through on Joe. I don't think, neither of us seen it coming. We discussed it, and it's all gone different. We've got yellow flag out there, and Lutt is off and in the wall on the exit of Stavilo, and it must have been a collision with Martin, because Martin's got a 5-second penalty for a severe collision with him.
You know, I'm not sure it was actually a collision with Martin. I think Martin may have made contact with Lutt as a result of Lutt spinning it at Curve Paul Frere. I think that may have been what happened there, because when I last checked, there was a pretty sizable gap between the two of them. I didn't think that they were actually in any danger of battling one another. So, you know, because of course I'm always trying to scan the field and see if there's any upcoming battles that we need to be on the lookout for, and it didn't seem to me that Martin was anywhere near CRG Lutt there. So I think that penalty happened after the spin had already happened. OMG It's Joe did get the DRS off of Leopard. It looked like only just. He was pretty far back as they came onto the straight part of the Kemmel Straight. But he did manage to get pretty close to Leopard by the end of it. P1R Brown still hanging behind again with that 3-second time penalty. That has brought Bobberts into the points.
Yeah, Bobberts, there you go. Brilliant stuff. Isn't that just brilliant, Justin? I'm happy that he's got that point, because, you know, that's what we say. You said it earlier on, you hit the nail on the head. We encourage drivers, we want to give them a shout out when they race on, even when all seems lost. 40 seconds he is off the back of Franglish. Who cares? He's still getting a World Championship point. John Papp, amazed. Danny F31.
He could get fastest lap too. Bobberts is on the soft, so he might get 2 points.
There you go. Brilliant stuff. Might even get 2 points. Clever driving from Bobberts there to make that change and earn that fastest lap if he can. But Martin there also picking up a 3-second time penalty. It won't affect him too much. Mulder is 7.5 seconds off the tail of him. Surprise. 4.1 ahead, about to start the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix. It's all about who is going to win out in the battle for second, third, fourth and fifth, though. That looks to be where it's all happening here at Spa at the moment. What are you saying, Justin? Are you going to make any predictions? Who's going to complete the podium? Go on, who do you think?
I think it's going to be Joe followed by Leopard. I think it's going to be Joe in second, Leopard in third. P1R Brown obviously has that penalty, so I think he'll be down in fifth. Pinecone will grab fourth, but yeah, Pinecone just hasn't looked great out there, as you said earlier. Just struggling a little bit today. Just doesn't seem to be his circuit. OMG It's Joe is all over the back of Leopard as they open up the DRS. He's going to have the inside line as well. Leopard's going to give him a bit of a squeeze to the inside there, maybe just hoping that he can that'll give him an opportunity into Lake Home. But in the end, OMG It's Joe easily takes that position. P1R Brown right behind as well. You know what I think is going to happen though is I think P1R Brown is going to take third position on track just to show he could. I think P1R Brown is going to push hard, because he knows that he's going to get fifth here. No matter what happens, he's going to get fifth here. Well, unless he picks up another 3-second time penalty. But I think P1R Brown is going to go for the move on Leopard and say, look, this could have been a podium for me if not for that mistake. Oh, what'd you see?
Goodness me, Pinecone. Well, that would have given him a big brown stain on his overalls, that's for sure, because he was all over the place coming out of the exit of Pujon. He was full opposite lock, Justin. He just about collected it all together, and that'll explain why he's a full second off the tail of P1R Brown. Goodness me, that car was out of shape, and Sutton's got it back together. And now look at Leopard going side by side with OMG. It's Joey's coming back again on the penultimate lap. These two just won't stop dueling with each other. Is Leopard going to go for it, or is he waiting until turn 1 and 2? Looks like he's going to wait, Justin, and that is the wise choice. That is a wise choice. But I tell you what, if it's like this in the final lap, there will be desperate Dan manoeuvres into that final chicane.
This is weird stuff. OMG, it's Joe moving very far to the right-hand side there. Wants to defend the inside line, maybe, or just break DRS. P1R Brown going very deep into the corner. That's going to allow Pinecone to come pull up alongside of him just about. But no, he is going to stay ahead, is P1R Brown, as they make the run down the hill into Eau Rouge, up and over the hill over Radion. And it is going to be Leopard. Oh, man, I think that was some tactics there from OMG, it's Joe, to try and not break the DRS, but just give a bit of a gap between himself and Leopard. He's going to aggressively defend the inside line into Lacombe, force Leopard to the outside. He can't go late enough on the brakes. OMG, it's Joe is going to maintain that position for the meantime. It looks like Pinecone had to go on P1R Brown. They were side by side at the end of the Kemmel Straight, but P1R Brown has managed to hold on to that position with the inside line through the downhill right-hander at turn 10. He is going to continue to hold on to that spot, but Pinecone is all over the back of him. He must know that P1R Brown has some sort of penalty. He must know that this really isn't all that important, but again, I think he just really wants to show that he can make the move on circuit. Again, it hasn't been the best day for Pinecone. We have those high standards for him, so I think he just wants to make that overtake at the end here.
He wanted to get that move done in the first sector so he can have one last chance to get a go on the other two guys. Obviously, that chance is gone now because he's too far off the back of Leopard and Joe. But I think he wanted to get that move done to get onto the other two. It's not going to happen. Is Leopard going to go for a desperate Dan manoeuvre on OMG? It's Joe into the braking zone. He's 4/10 back, but we know what Leopard's like, Justin. We know what he's like. Is he going to go for it? Surprises in the final chicane. But what's Leopard going to do? I think he's too far back.
Yep, indeed. He is going to stay behind. P1R Brown defends the inside line into the bus stop chicane. He's run a little bit deep, though. This could be an opportunity for CRG Pinecone. He's going to try the switchback maneuver, but it's too short of a run to the line. P1R Brown will finish in 4th position, but with that penalty, will move behind Pinecone. Pinecone up into 4th, just outside of the podium. Leopard does just about hold on for 15 championship points for himself, and I didn't actually check to see who got fastest lap. I assume it was Bobberts, but I don't know if Surprise was able to grab that right at the end. He did have quite a comfortable final lap, final couple of laps, to be honest, with over 5 seconds to the second position car. Oh, they're just all running into each other as they get to the top of Radion. I do enjoy that. Justin. Did he get it? Okay.
Roberts. Yeah, Roberts got it. 1:45.1. Surprise 1:45.3. 2/10 quicker. So Roberts, good job. Well done, Roberts, getting a couple of points. Fair play.
Yeah. I mean, that's damage mitigation. That's what we talk about when we say damage limitation, mitigation, whatever you want to say. He picks up a couple of championship points for Ferrari in a race where Danny F31 was taken out rather early. So, yeah, unfortunate for the Ferrari guys. But again, Bobbert's picking up a couple of points. A solid result. All things considered, you have to say. But yeah, you said it earlier on, and I don't think anything has changed since you said it, Andy. Driver of the day, probably Surprise. It's a fairly dominant display from him. And in those dry conditions, we know that Surprise has a tendency to hold back because he wants that fastest lap at the end of the race. So I absolutely believe that Surprise could have very easily made that gap a lot bigger if he wanted to, but he was trying to hold on to those tires. He was trying to give himself an opportunity to make it 26 out of a possible 26 championship points. And unfortunately, because of Bobbert's strange strategy and everything like that, it didn't work out for Surprise, but it very nearly did. And the fact that Surprise is thinking about that sort of stuff, the fact that he's thinking about picking up that one extra point while he's doing this racing at over 200 miles an hour is exactly why he's in the position that he's in this championship. So it is going to be another 10 points between himself and Leopard after the Belgian Grand Prix. In the end, it was over 5.5 seconds between Surprise and Joe, but it's Surprise, Joe, Leopard, all on the podium. Pinecone just outside. P1R Brown, a fantastic drive today for him. It would have been 4th position if not for that 3-second time penalty that he picked up. TRL Martin, not a great day for him. We have higher standards for TRL Martin than that. Not sure why or how he fell outside of that train, but unfortunately he did. Jason 97 F1, not a great result for him today either, if we're totally honest. I think it was just a case of those the top 6 really just breaking away, and Jason just had no opportunity. But he does finish best of the rest, ahead of Mulder, ahead of his teammate Franglish, and ahead of Bobberts. And unfortunately, CRG Lutt, his first race with the CRG name in front of him, and unfortunately he does not pick up any points. Tough day for Haas, no points for John Papp either, and of course the other Ferrari, Danny F31, and ESR Amazed as well, not picking up any points. So, it wasn't a classic. Let's be honest, it wasn't the best race we've ever had. That would be insulting to the other races that we've had in Xbox One AOR. But it was still very interesting, just purely because you had 6 cars, all right there with each other. It's always nice when that happens.
There was always something to keep us talking, Justin. That's for sure. There was always a few moments out on the racetrack, kept us thinking on our feet. What, as you say, not a classic, but there was action out there. It did keep us all entertained, and a decent little race. I just want to mention, Jason, as you said, didn't have a great race, but apart from the guys outside the top 4, again with the guys he races with, the only man out of them without a time penalty, and that's just classic Jason. Martin had 8 seconds worth of penalties in front of him, and Jason, by 1 second, missed out in the end of getting ahead of Martin. So it just shows, even when he's not the quickest out there, he's just so consistent and he's so good at picking up points. It just wasn't quite to be today to get into that top 6.
And I think his standards have probably gone up since he picked up that podium in Austria earlier this season. And I think our standards of Jason. And also he picked up that podium in F1 esports as well, too. So I think 2019 has really been sort of a year where we've come to expect just a little bit more from Jason. And we didn't quite get that today. We kind of got classic Jason, which is, picking up solid points outside of the top 5. But, not picking up any sort of... And that's why I liked him. That's why I became a fan of Jason's in the very beginning. It's just because... he's not necessarily a front runner every single time, but he can pull it out of the bag every once in a while, surprise a few people, which we always like to see. It wasn't his day for that today. Part of that I think also was just because it was completely bone dry. There were some incidents, but nothing really at the front that would have allowed him to capitalize, to close in on that top 6, that sort of thing. So, Jason made the best out of the situation that he was provided to him, and that's exactly why I like Jason as a driver. But yeah, driver of the day has got to be Surprise. Andy and I are unanimous on that one. Again, we think that gap would have been even bigger if he had decided to try and start pushing a little bit earlier on in the race, but he was saving those tires right till the end. And again, he nearly took fastest lap despite being on a harder compound. He was only 0.2 slower than what Boberts did on the soft compound. So, I mean, you said this as well earlier. What else can we say about this guy?
Oh, he was absolutely brilliant, Justin. I actually, honestly, when I watch racing, I want to usually watch side-by-side action, but
Same.
I'm actually desperate to watch Surprises in lap and out lap. I want to see it. I want to see how he does it. I want to see if he's flat out pushing like crazy, if he's kept the life in the tires, because he set that up beautifully. He really did. It looked like it was going to be a race where he was going to be stuck slogging it out with the rest of the guys in the top 6, but no, he just nailed that in lap, nailed the out lap, job done, second belt, gap done, DRS, and then just cruised off into the distance. It was just the perfect execution of a Belgian Grand Prix from pole position in this game, and it was brilliant. What a performance.
It's one of those things where it's hard to appreciate if you're new to racing what Surprise did, because we were breathless basically after what he did during the pit stop phase, but it's not as exciting as 2 cars going side by side through Pouhon, 2 cars going side by side into Eau Rouge. That kind of stuff is obviously, you could point at it and you could say, look, that was amazing. What Surprise did today wasn't high on the entertainment value, but for people that truly appreciate racing, to see that kind of thing happen, you're just wow. You have to take a step back and just really appreciate what he's done. And I feel like I've said this more than any stream before, but you already said this earlier on, that he is a star of the future. And if Surprise does not get picked by a team in the 2020 Pro Draft, I am going to riot. I will freak out if he does not get signed. He should probably be the first person that gets signed, honestly.
Yeah, Justin, it would be as big an injustice and an outrage as it was for Evo when he missed out, wouldn't it?
Yes, 100%.
It would be just as big as that. So, he's got to be picked. Somebody, if you're watching now, pick him. Put him in your team, please.
He will win races, guaranteed. Now, he has the unfortunate luck of being on Xbox, and of course, the F1 esports is run on PC, so you know, he's got to go through the same sort of thing that the Flying Finn, Sally Saltunk, has gone through, which is, you know, he's very used to the Xbox. He's got to practice on PC. He's got to learn how to be quick there, because there are those minor differences. It's not exactly the same. It's not a 1-to-1 like ratio going from Xbox to PC. So I won't say that he would be winning races straight out of the gate, but I mean, this kid is unbelievably fast. You give him the right machinery, give him the right equipment, give him a little bit of time to practice, and he's going to be a champion. I have no doubt of that.
Yeah, I just can't wait to see what comes next. It's just incredible, the pace that we're seeing, and you know, on to Italy next, Justin. Another classic race, another circuit where breaking the DRS is going to be very, very tricky. That's going to be an exciting one as well. Actually, I won't make that one next. Is it next week? Are we going straight into Italy next week? If we are,
I think so.
Unfortunately, I won't make that one if that's the case. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Anyway, I'll be watching it back to complete the European season, but surprised now, really extending that gap out. And it's going to be difficult to stop him, Justin, from this point on, especially on this kind of form.
Yep, that's exactly right. The next race is round 14, and it is the Italian Grand Prix, and it is at Monza, the temple of all that stuff. So we will be looking forward to that. Unfortunately, Andy won't be with us, but we can really look forward to it because, of course, we did see Monza in the F1 esports, and it was very exciting. So I absolutely am looking forward to that one next week. So make sure you guys tune in. Thank you so much for tuning in this week and watching the Belgian Grand Prix round 13 of the Apex Online Racing Hype Energy F1 League on the Xbox platform. For Andy and myself, Justin, thank you very much. We will see you next time, and good night.